On August 30th, 1945, as the gray Pacific stretched endlessly beneath a sky, washed pale by the long war, a U.S. Navy transport ship cut steadily toward the American coast, carrying a group of Japanese women, nurses, clerks, civilians huddled in thin clothes, their faces pale with exhaustion and years of fear born from propaganda that had painted Americans as demons. But the young men guarding them, farm boys from Iowa, steel workers from Pennsylvania, baseball players from Texas, offered cigarettes, water, and quiet gestures of courtesy that shattered everything the women had been taught. Their voyage across the ocean unfolded in stunned silence as the prisoners, clutching worn satchels and fading photographs, tried to reconcile their dread with the strange gentleness of their captors. Tall, broad-shouldered soldiers whose strength and health made the malnourished men of Japan seem ghost-like in comparison. When the ship finally reached the American shore, the women pressed to the rails, shocked to see clean docks, organized lines of handsome guards, and a land untouched by the firestorms that had consumed Tokyo and Osaka. They descended the gangway, trembling beneath the gazes of towering men, some blonde, some red-haired, all impossibly healthy, and were guided toward trucks with a formality so polite that it felt unreal. As the convoy rolled inland past neon signs, factories humming with life, and red barns glowing under the sun, the women whispered that the soldiers looked like movie stars, whispers filled with fear, shame, and a dangerous curiosity. The camp that awaited them was not the dungeon they imagined, but a clean, orderly compound scented with baking bread, where breakfast meant scrambled eggs, buttered bread, and sizzling bacon luxuries, unthinkable after years of rationing. The Americans enforced rules but not cruelty. Guards handed out soap, showed them hot showers, and sometimes smiled with awkward kindness. Gestures so simple they brought the women to tears. As months passed, the shock softened into uneasy understanding. The enemy was not monstrous, but young, sunburned, sometimes freckled, and startlingly human. They watched soldiers toss baseballs in the sun, write letters home, whistle while unloading crates, acts of normal life that reminded the women of brothers and fiancés lost to hunger and war, deepening the wound of defeat. The International Red Cross noted the fairness of such camps, but the women lived it firsthand, forced to confront the painful truth that their captors treated them with more dignity than their own army often had. Winter brought frost and quiet contemplation. As the women folded uniforms, tended gardens, whispered memories in the dark, and felt their anger tangled with reluctant admiration. Small connections bloomed. A guard sketching flowers on scraps of paper. Another teaching phrases like, "Good morning," or "Thank you." A soldier turning on a phonograph that filled the yard with swing music so alive it made the women cry. By spring, news of repatriation stirred both longing and fear. Home meant ruins, hunger, and grief. The camp, though fenced, had become strangely safe. As the day of departure arrived, the women gathered their belongings and were led back to trucks, passing once more the tall American guards who, without knowing, had reshaped every belief the women carried. At the harbor, boarding the ship that would return them to a defeated Japan, they whispered without shame that the enemy had looked like film stars, had treated them far better than expected, had broken the lies they were raised on. The nurse from Saipan, staring at the receding American shore, felt a quiet, aching truth settle within her chest. The truth that, in the land of her conquerors, she had been fed, sheltered, and looked upon not as a beast, but as a human being. And that memory, luminous and painful, would remain long after she returned to the ashes of home.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.